So often we set goals and fail, whereas when we set an intention, it can change us at a deeper level. It can tap into the core of who we wish to be because we can align it to our true values. If you are not actively setting intentions for who you want to be, I think it's so easy to fall back into a default, and this default is going to be programmed differently for each individual person. So having a strong mindset is very much just like a muscle that we need to work on daily. I realized it's as important as cleaning our teeth. Hi, I'm Becky Eakins, business mindset and lifestyle coach for occupational therapists. I focus on creating a freedom-based online business, helping OTs to package up their skills in unique and exciting offers that feel so good that they sell with ease in the online space. Since leaving the profession of OT, I have now worked with hundreds of clients online, helping them to create a life they feel inspired by. In this podcast, I will talk about the lifestyle goals, mindset, and strategy you need to create your own life of freedom. I want to talk to you today about setting your intention. I really love to empower people just to step into their full power. What I often see is that we just naturally hold ourselves back. And one of the starting pieces to this, as far as I can see, is learning to set a conscious intention for who you want to be in any given moment. So setting a daily intention for who you are can be just so powerful. And it might be that this looks like spending a few minutes each day just to make that decision who you want to be, which will then ultimately guide you into a better quality of life. And it basically can help you being so reactive. When I look back at things that didn't go so well for me, I look back and very often think, oh my goodness, I was so reactive and just not at all intentional. And there's always going to be these bad events that happen. Like, that is never going to change. But what we do have control about is our ability to hold ourselves with intention, and that can affect the way we ride these waves. So setting an intention could look at, creating a mood for the day. So very often when I do my morning gratitude, this is when I'll set my intention. And I might say, this is a really common one for me, will be, today I'm going to be fully present with my kids. So if I'm having a day with kids, it's so easy for me as a business owner to get distracted. So I set the intention. No, today is about my kids and I'm going to be present. That means phone away. That means sitting, looking at them in the eyes. It means having lunch together, making conversation, going a walk, or whatever it is. But within that moment, I wish to be thinking about them, just being present, not allowing my thoughts to keep wandering off to the business, because that's a bad habit that I can do. And at the same way, years ago when I used to do this and I used to go to work, it would be like, I'm going to remain calm today. When I walk through this door, I'm going to remain calm, no matter how many referrals I walk into. I can remember in one OT job on the medical wards, we used to come in and there'd be like 100 referrals waiting for us. And it was impossible to even physically go around and see these people. There was just not enough staff to be able to do that. And the amount of stress it used to cause when every Monday we would know that we would walk in and there would be this unmanageable amount of referrals. So had I thought about this at this time, but setting my intention for how I was going to react to that, how I was going to be during that day, so not even reacting, but I'm going to remain calm no matter what, would have helped. So over the years, I did attach a door intention. So every time you see a door and you're about to walk through it, it's a really nice reminder to just pause for a second and reset your intention, decide who you will be no matter what. So, sometimes there's physical doors and sometimes just imaginary. But if you think about getting in the car door to transition from work to home, as you get to the front door or as you get to the office door, as you walk into a shop of some kind, any social occasion, it's always an opportunity for you to decide who you will be no matter what. So the difference between goal setting and intention largely falls on the timing. So when we set an intention, we're actively being something immediately, whereas a goal might be more what we're working on in the future. And the other key difference is the emotion behind it, as goal setting is more of a plan, whereas intention is more to do with the emotions or the feelings behind something. So to give an example, an intention to be a master in your finances is very different to having a goal of making 30K per month. It's they both might actually result in the same things, but the intention is to be. The intention is to be aware, to be present, to be a master, to feel in control. But a goal would be actually, no, I'm trying to make this. So your intention can start immediately as soon as you make that choice, that decision of who you are going to be in that moment, how you react and how you think, as opposed to the goal coming later. So often we set goals and fail, whereas when we set an intention, it can change us at a deeper level. It can tap into the core of who we wish to be because we can align it to our true values. Because they're less tangible and more obvious things to fail, we can be more forgiving of ourselves. So a little slip with intention can be easily rectified, and there will be lots of slips with our intention. And the more we practice, the better we can get. But we don't want to fall for this negative self-talk, because it's the negative self-talk when we don't achieve a goal or we don't follow our intention that actually can be very damaging. So setting intention is great, as long as we're not going to follow it with negativity if we have a little slip, because that's okay. So I did learn over life that some people were particular triggers for bad behavior from me. Just thinking of family parties, very often siblings, family members, or certain friends. And what I realized was that when I go to an event, especially if there was alcohol involved, I mean, I choose not to drink alcohol anymore, but in the past, I realized that if I did not set an intention for who I would be, I could be really reactive and respond to triggers and get angry, or just be a little underhand and not actually like the person who I had been during that moment. So I found that setting the intention before I went to those events was particularly helpful. I recorded a mindset meditation, one that you can do overnight. Very powerful in terms of helping you create the confidence, the self-belief, and deal with any money mindset issues. I use these kind of overnight meditations all the time. I found them incredibly powerful. So I've created a very special one, and I'm giving it for free to all of my podcast listeners. You can download it on the show notes. I love the book by Peter Sage. So Peter Sage wrote a book called The Inside Track, and he talks about his journey. He's basically a normal businessman from England, and he was put into prison. And of course, when you go to prison, you have almost all your choices taken away from you. I just couldn't even cope with something like that, I feel. But the one thing that he could control within this was who he was every day. So he set his intention and really focused on who he was in each given day. And it's just a fascinating read, really, learning how he managed to be and show up for himself as the best version of himself, no matter what. And it ultimately had a massive impact on the whole prison. So this book was really powerful, as I can't even imagine having all of my personal freedoms taken away from me. Oh, it would literally be a nightmare for me. But he shows how you can actually change your intention and just hold really strong, and that can help you ride through some very difficult times. So, I mean, I've just found that a certain point in life, I don't know if this is the same for everybody, but life just seems to take over at 100 miles an hour. Certainly when you've got young kids, when you're taking on a house, full-time work, when it all just kind of kicks in at a similar age in life. And it just feels that at that stage, everything was so fast and so busy that there was just more reacting and less setting intention. And I feel like over the years during that stage, that setting intention just seemed to not take top space. And I think as well, you can become so disconnected from your body and just kind of lose the connection with yourself. And so just following a simple breath work or movement practice, just being really intentional with connecting with yourself, with allowing yourself some silence, some space to be present and connect, and just actually not be so fully in our minds and just more connected to who we are, our core, and really with our bodies. So it's just another way that being intentional can really help. So at the start of my journey in creating change, I realized that I needed to make a higher income. But part of the problem was that I knew nothing about money, and I wanted to do things such as investing. I wanted to learn how to save in a better way. I realized there was a shortfall in my money mindset and knowledge. And so around about 2018, I think it was, I set my intention just to be a money master. It was just something that I realized I needed to elevate who I was, how I perceived myself, the role that I played, my identity. And I just set this as an intention that every day I would be thinking in this way and I would be this person. And so actively, I decided to read every single book going. It's a bit like a hyper focus, I guess you could say. But specifically, I just absorbed knowledge from everywhere. I spoke to as many people as possible, listened to podcasts, attended courses, and just generally elevated myself with the viewpoint that I was a money master. And this was the intention. This was the person who I was becoming. And that year was really transformational because it affected the way I thought about money. It affected the way I took calculated risks. With all of this education, I was able to change some deep down perceptions and beliefs that I held about money. But ultimately, it helped to change my identity. And it's really when we make this deeper shift into changing your identity and really becoming a different person. So I viewed myself as a different person. And that's ultimately where the bigger changes come. So, of course, there's got to be actual goals within that. That's different to setting the intention. But actually setting the intention just carried me through and just really helped change my identity bit by bit. And sometimes I set an intention over a year, sometimes I set a smaller intention, and sometimes a bigger intention. But that same feeling is always there, and it's always to help with growth and connection. So when I look at the bigger things that I set an intention for, they generally match my dreams. So one of the biggest intentions was just to be free. I wanted to be free and feel free in every moment. So I would base my life goals on this intention, but also I needed to just base my mindset on this intention and make decisions around this intention of a person who is free. So if you are not actively setting intentions for who you want to be, I think it's so easy to fall back into a default. And this default is going to be programmed differently for each individual person, but it could be that you play into a child role, you fall into patterns of gossiping, or maybe putting other people down. Maybe you catastrophize. And many times, and certainly I did this a lot, but we race for the role of the victim. It's me, everything's happening to me, you know, the whole world is against me. And you can see this happening in many relationships when there's conflict, that both sides are they're running quickly. I want to be the victim. I want to be the victim. I'm the one that's hard done to. Everybody feels sorry for me. And it's so easy just to take that role, when in reality, no matter what is happening, we do always have this choice. And that choice is how we will react. And as Peter Sage talks about in that book, The Inside Track, you know, it can have a powerful influence on how bad events play out in our life. So having a strong mindset is very much just like a muscle that we need to work on daily. I realized it's as important as cleaning our teeth. It needs to be the main focus, and a good part of my intention for every day will be about focusing on my mental health, doing things that I know are going to boost my my strength. So I'd love for you to just take a few moments now and think, who do you want to be? Who is it that you want to be right now, today? And very often you can think about your values, you know, what's actually important to you? And are you honoring those values? Because very often when we do this work, we realize that we've strayed off our own path. And that's why setting an intention to get you back on the path can be really valuable. And as you're doing this, as you're thinking about who you want to be, just imagine a door as you walk into your workplace, your home, or an event, and just stand before that door. Just visualize yourself standing in front of that door and setting your intention for who you will be. And just take a moment, take a breath before you walk through every door. It's just a really good thing to do, is actually don't just rush. Just take a breath, take a moment, and be intentional, because we don't need to rush through life at a mad, crazy pace. Actually, just remembering to connect with our breath and take a moment to connect with who we are before we walk into the room can make a big difference. And whether this is 100 new referrals that you're about to walk into, whether it's a colleague who moans a lot and drags you down, whether it's bullying within the workplace, whether it's you're pressured to discharge people quicker than you think, or whether it's things at home, you struggle with the transition from work to home, or dealing with somebody who you're finding a challenge, but set your intention and it's going to make a really big difference to how you feel ultimately. I would love to hear how you get on with setting your intentions. If you are an OT with 3 to 10 hours per week spare, then the OT Yourself to Freedom membership is best for you. It will teach you how to create a business, an online freedom style business, but in an affordable way. And this is best for those of you who haven't got the time to really go for it. If you have the time to go for it and you want to achieve bigger results in a short space of time, what you're looking for is the OT Freedom Collective. This is for OTs who've got 10 hours a week or more and you're just really keen to get big results. That's where you're going to be closely supported by our team for a 6-month period. It will be intensive. You'll learn everything you need to create this freedom style business. And the biggest word that people say about it is that it's life-changing.